Isn't it amazing how we all love stories? From the time we were kids, our favorite pastime was always listening to some kind of story, whether it was fairy tales or epics like the Iliad or the Odyssey. There's just something inherently pleasurable about a good story that brings us a sense of satisfaction, teaches us a lesson or two, and keeps us entertained. And this isn't unique to us. Even the ancients loved their stories too. They wrote them down on stone tablets, papyrus, clay, tablets, or any surface they could find, so they can be passed down from generation to generation. And since these stories were intended to teach as much as they entertained, they were often filled with symbolism and allegory. So today, we're going to tell you one such story, one that's been told and retold throughout history, but has managed to survive through the sands of time. A story that features two of the most powerful beings in existence, a race of giants who threaten to destroy the entire universe. We're talking, of course, about the biblical giants known as Gog and Magog, also known as Ya'juj and Ma'juj in Islamic tradition. Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the craziest and weirdest facts from human history. Some of the things discussed in this video may be offensive or disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. But before we get into it, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more videos like this one. Also, stick around for the big reveal at the end of the video, something you won't want to miss. So let's start off by telling you about where this story comes from. It originates from the Old Testament, specifically the book of Ezekiel. Here it says that in the latter days there will be a war between Israel and a confederation of nations from the far north known as Gog and Magog. These lands are believed to be the same ones mentioned in other books of the Bible, namely Persia, Media, Cush and Put, and are located in what is today Azerbaijan, Armenia, and northern Iran. However, the enemies of Israel aren't only these nations, but also two monstrous races which come out of the farthest north. First among these are the uncircumcised masses, who are perhaps a nomadic tribe of Goths known as the Huns, and then there are the giants, Gog and Magog, who lead the attack against Israel. According to the text, God himself helps his people defeat these attackers. He causes great earthquakes, hailstorms, and fire from heaven until the armies of Gog and Magog are completely wiped out. This prophecy is later retold in the Quran in the 98th chapter, known as Al-Kawthar. It says the following: "Have you not seen how Gog and Magog have transgressed against humanity? How they were about to corrupt the earth, and how they were about to commit sin abundantly on the earth? What punishment have they not committed? Then we sent against them the birds, and they rained down on them with stones, and we made the trees and the mountains crumble on them, and that was an evident punishment." In Islamic eschatology, the two Gog and Magog act as a sort of barrier between the righteous and the wicked. At first, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are kept away from the righteous people of the world by the mountain range of Kabud. But when the end of the world approaches, Allah will send a prophet named Isa, or Jesus, to break the mountains apart and allow them to pass through. But don't take this literally, because even though we know that the prophet Isa will descend from heaven with the archangel Jibril to fight against the Antichrist and his followers, the real war is between the forces of good and evil within each person. That's why the war against Gog and Magog must be seen allegorically, symbolizing the final battle between good and evil, which takes place inside every individual heart. Gog and Magog are depicted as giants, huge, strong, fierce warriors who are skilled hunters and live in the Arctic regions of the earth. When they eventually come out of their homelands, they devastate everything in their path, polluting the land, destroying cities, and killing everyone they come across. Only a small group of believers remain hidden in Jerusalem, while the rest of the world falls to the horde. But since Allah is just and merciful, He sends Isa to save His people and punish the wicked. However, there's a twist to this story. because if you look closely, you'll see that the description of Ya'juj and Ma'juj mirrors that of another creature from Islamic mythology, the jinn. In Islamic eschatology, the jinn are an evil race of elemental beings created from smokeless fire who live in the mountains and wastelands of the earth. They try to enter paradise, but God prevents them from doing so by setting up a barrier made of iron. When the end of the world approaches, the jinn gather together in a place called Ar-Ras, and they send a representative named Al-Akkar to lead them into battle. Just like Ya'juj and Ma'juj, Al-Akkar and his followers attempt to break through the barriers set up by God to keep them out of paradise, only to be defeated by the armies of heaven. It's possible that the jinn may have been incorporated into the story of Gog and Magog due to the spread of Islam into Central Asia. As Islam spread into new territories, it often blended with local customs and beliefs, incorporating them into its own traditions. For example, in the Hadith, which are the sayings and teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, there are many references to the jinn and their beliefs and practices. Furthermore, the jinn are also mentioned in pre-Islamic Arabic poetry, suggesting that they were already part of the local culture. By incorporating the jinn into Islamic eschatology, the religion was able to connect with the local population on a deeper level, making it easier for them to convert to Islam. This practice of syncretism can be seen in other religions as well, such as Christianity, which incorporated elements of paganism and other local beliefs into its own traditions. Now, let's move on to the symbols used in the story. Gog and Magog are giants who live in darkness and cold, representing the forces of chaos and destruction. They live in the furthest north, which is associated with the unknown and the mysterious. This is similar to other myths where giants are often depicted as living in remote and isolated places, such as the frost giants of Norse mythology who live in Utgard, a place of eternal winter. Giants are also often associated with natural disasters such as earthquakes and storms, which are seen as manifestations of the chaos that they represent. Their very presence corrupts the earth, causing it to become barren and unproductive. This mirrors the effects of sin in Christian theology, which is said to corrupt the human soul and cause spiritual death. The breaking of the mountain range of Kabud by Isa or Jesus symbolizes the triumph of good over evil. The mountains are often seen as a symbol of God's power and protection, so their destruction represents a time of great upheaval and change. The sending of the birds to rain down stones on the Gog and Magog army is an example of divine intervention. In many religions and mythologies, birds are seen as messengers of the gods, and they often play a role in connecting the earthly realm with the divine realm. In Norse mythology, for example, the god Heimdall, who is responsible for watching over the realm of the gods, is also associated with the ability to hear the footsteps of approaching enemies, which is similar to the idea of birds being able to communicate with the gods and alert them to danger. Overall, the story of Ya'juj and Ma'juj is a powerful reminder of the importance of staying true to one's faith in the face of adversity. It teaches us that no matter how overwhelming our problems may seem, God is always with us, and He will never abandon us. If you enjoyed this video, check out one of our others, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.